Yo, what's going on, people? Welcome back to this. I'm going to keep that in. Because why not? Welcome back to the channel Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. Blooper off the bat. I hope you're doing well, mate. I really do. I'm just going to set the camera straight there. There we go. Welcome back to Chelsea News, the daily series here on the channel where I reflect on what's being said about the Blues, giving you my opinion on it. More importantly, mate, asking for yours. World record fee for Wesley Fofana from Leicester. Is it worth it? Are we going to get Frenkie De Jong? Is he coming? Is he going? Should he stay now? All that kind of stuff. As well, Chelsea will look at wingback cover. Could it be Dumfries or could it even be Traore and a striker, man? Ziyech still being linked to Milan, Manchester United, Hudson-Odoi loan. We've already had Werner and Lukaku at the door. You know, there's still plenty of time in the window, but who are we going to get? Is it going to be Aubameyang? Is it going to be like a Jonathan David, which obviously would interest some people? Who knows? We're going to speculate and talk about some stuff here today. Thank you for dropping a like on the video. Means a lot. It's a good way of showing your support to the content. You're welcome to subscribe, and should you choose to do so, hit that sweet, sweet bell, baby. Why is that not working? Transition. My switcher isn't working, so I'm doing everything manually. Technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to jump over to the Telegraph and cite an article by John Percy talking about Wesley Fofana. Of course, Thomas Tuchel's priority number one, numero uno, defensive target. A wonderful young centre-back defender, the young Frenchman. But he'll cost a lot of money, what roadmen call bare peas. Chelsea will have to make a world record offer to sign Wesley Fofana. Brendan Rodgers insists Leicester are planning for the season with the French defender among their ranks. Leicester will only consider a world record breaking offer to sell Wesley Fofana as Chelsea prepared to make a third bid. So this is interesting. Fofana is a priority target for the Chelsea manager, Thomas Tuchel, who has already seen 2 bids rejected by Leicester this summer. Now, the offers that have been made were initially 50 million, and then the second bid was 60 million. What we were understood, or what we were being told via the media early doors, that actually both those figures were bigger than that. They were inflated. It was like 60 and 70 rejected. But the Telegraph is a reputable publication, and they're saying 50 million and 60 million. So it's starting smaller, perhaps, than what we originally thought. Chelsea will have to make the French centre-back the most expensive defender in the world, in a fee over £80 million to stand any chance of signing him, with Brendan Rodgers revealing his fears over finding a quality replacement. You could find a quality replacement if you have a serious amount of money. Though Jamie Vardy is very close to signing a new contract to keep him beyond his 37th birthday at the club, which is wild, by the way, Rodgers has admitted the situation with Fofana, who's only 21, is uncertain. Leicester have also turned down 2 offers from Newcastle for England international, the midfielder James Maddison. In the past fortnight, when asked if there was a cut-off point for Leicester to consider any bids, Rodgers said this, quote, "That will be up to the ownership. The end decision will be down to them. Even now, it would be late in terms of looking in to get replacements, but it's certainly something that the later it goes on, the more difficult it becomes. At this moment in time, we're looking at them being here, working with them, and that's the only focus." Manchester United made Harry Maguire the costliest defender in 2019 when they paid Leicester £80 million. Fofana is regarded as a generational talent and is targeting a place at this year's World Cup for the French senior team. If you look at Brendan Rodgers, or should I say, listen to Brendan Rodgers, his language has developed and shifted when he speaks on Fofana. His stance From being cold and clinical to not for sale, to shifting the language slightly to we're currently not looking to sell him, as in we're not actively putting him in the window. His language is softening as he realises perhaps this is becoming more and more of a possibility. Many journalists actually think it will happen. I believe like Matt Law, I think perhaps one or two of the chaps at The Athletic, saying they think it will happen because there is ultimately a deal to be done. And if there is a deal to be done and Chelsea really want him, it could happen. I mean, personally, if you wanted to know my opinion, I would not want to make him a world record transfer because of the pressure that will put on him. We will look, he is generational, and ultimately you could just say it will be worth it eventually. But the Harry Maguire price tag, I think, cursed him. I think he's a lot better than Harry Maguire, of course. Wesley Fofana, certainly he's got a very high ceiling. But even if he was just like £78 million, as long as he's not the world's most expensive centre-back, that £2 million, just the title alone, can really soften the expectation, the memes, all of it. Do you know what I mean? I do think Chelsea will probably sign him. I think there's like a 55% chance we sign him, largely down to the fact how the player himself really does want the transfer and had an understanding with Leicester that if a big fee comes in for him, they're sort of, they should take it, and that was the sort of a gentleman's agreement, to use that Daniel Levy term, although it's also been reported that this general understanding comes into effect next summer onwards. We'll have to see what happens, though, guys. Keep it locked here in Football Therapy. I'll give you all the updates on Wesley Fofana and, of course, all transfers. Frenkie De Jong, really, really interesting. The story develops all the time. Harry Redknapp, remember we reported on what he said to Alex Goldberg, how he knows he wants to come to Chelsea. How true is that? We know he wants to stay at Barcelona. That's the main narrative. But perhaps should he was forced out the door, he'd choose Chelsea. Though it does seem like now, I mean, was it Adam Crafton? I can't remember which journalist quoted the tweet of Barcelona have said to Frenkie De Jong, either reduce your wages by 50% or leave. And he just quoted it like, contracts don't work like that. Once you've signed a contract and you've agreed, yeah, I will play football for this football club for this amount of money per week. Signed contract, done, mate. Done. That's how it works. He obviously endured abuse when turning up to the training ground, for Barcelona, fans shouting at him. In a way, I, like many of you, would enjoy the fact of him staying and therefore stitching up Barca so they couldn't register their new players. I know that's quite statistical, but, it's the theatre of football. You want to see the big clubs struggle. Imagine all the people that enjoyed Chelsea's recent struggles and transition when we had the sanctions, etc. It's part of the box office theatrical piece that is world football, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll see what happens there. I mean, I never really thought, what we really need to make Chelsea great again? Frenkie De Jong. No, it'd be like, no, we need a centre-back, we need attackers, we need wing-back cover. Do you know what I mean? All of that. And personally, I always thought we'd need more of a conventional CDM, like Aurélien Tchouameni or Declan Rice even. Do you know what I mean? These kind of like more conventional EPL CDMs, a bit more like a Fabinho, that kind of player to help you get up to the Liverpool and City level. So with that all in mind, I would have been like, yeah, I'll take the quality of Frenkie De Jong. Sounds cool. It muds Man United. Fun. But ultimately, it's not the biggest loss, and we shouldn't really cry for him, or perhaps if he doesn't come, which is looking more and more likely. Moving on, so I want to talk about wingback cover. Of course, Denzel Dumfries has been linked to Chelsea a lot. The another Dutch international wing back. Chelsea is still considering other options. Graham Bailey of 90 Min Football is saying that Adama Traore is hoping to secure a move away from Wolves. So I guess, was he just on a loan to Barcelona then? I must have missed that. I thought he went on a transfer there at the end of the summer. And two clubs are keeping an eye on Traore, reportedly, this chap says. And they are both Tottenham and Chelsea. Now, what's the recurring theme between Tottenham and Chelsea? Well, yes, they're big clubs in London, one big club at least, but they both deploy a wing-back system. perhaps he will be considered to play right wing-back cover, which would be very, very interesting. Thomas Tuchel, if he does think that's an option. Yes, many of you, as I say this, you're probably squirming in your chairs, recoiling, going, oh, Jan, yes, he's good and big, fast and powerful, but he's got absolutely no end product. And generally, I'm with you, especially in a team like Chelsea, where we rely so heavily on wing-backs to do things and create and attack and score goals in our system. So you'd think, oh God, a player with no end product, why would we get him? If it's rotational cover, if it's affordable, I don't know how long he's got left on his contract. I should have looked that up. But ultimately, you know, if Tuchel wants a high-octane right-hand side and he decides to play Reece James at right centre-back for certain games, as he is inclined to do, imagine the potent power of Reece James and Adama Traore in front of him running that right flank. That would be kind of devastating. Now, I'm not saying this is a big story. I've tried to look for more links. I couldn't really. I've just seen Cy Phillips on Twitter citing Graham Bailey of 90-Min Football saying that he's being considered. Doesn't surprise me. He's been linked with Chelsea before, but I wanted to reference it because Chelsea are still considering right wing-back options, of course, with Denzel Dumfries. I imagine we won't necessarily get into panic buy scenarios. We have made 3 very solid signings. We have made 3 very good teenager signings. Everything now is sort of filling in the gaps, so I don't know how much you panic buy a rotational right wing back. Actually, yes I do, and his name is Zappa Costa. We've seen this film before, ladies and gentlemen, but it's not the biggest drama in the world. Let's end the video and talk about attackers / strikers. Right, so Chelsea are being heavily linked with a striker option and the profile of an actual goal-scoring centre forward. Of course, Exhibit A is Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, the Barcelona striker, recent captain of Arsenal, stripped of his captaincy by gaffer Mikel Arteta. You know, reportedly a bit of a troublemaker. Personally, my main allure, or what I find most alluring about this potential transfer, is Piers Morgan crying all over Twitter with his favourite player, Aubameyang, who he was gutted that Arteta cast out. If he comes up to Chelsea and scores a few goals, that would be fun. Generally funny if he scores goals for Chelsea against Arsenal. Oh, bellissimo. But yes, again, we circle round to the theme of he played his best ever season under Thomas Tuchel. Thomas Tuchel has a great relationship with him. He's even spoke to him on the phone and stuff since he's been in the Prem. As in Tuchel's been in the Prem. Maybe, just maybe, he sees this as really ideal. We know Barcelona have several pressure points that can be applied right now. Yes, they'd probably prefer to sell Memphis Depay because he's younger, he's worth more money. Aubameyang's probably the better goal scorer out of the two. Although you'd think with Lewandowski being quite old, they wouldn't just want to keep 2 old boys. But maybe they do. We'll see what happens. Aubameyang is an option. Chelsea will buy an attacker. Look, like I said at the top of the video, Lukaku's out. Werner is out. Ziyech is still looking for an exit, and of course this window has been linked with both Milan and indeed Manchester United. Erik ten Hag looking to be reunited with him. Of course, Ziyech was amazing under Erik ten Hag, but also Ziyech has been in the Premier League long enough now to be looking at Manchester United and know what they're all about, and he'd probably be saying, no. I don't want to go over there. That looks horrible and toxic AF, possibly. And yeah, of course, you know, we're being linked. Well, Hudson-Odoi is being linked with exits as well, despite Thomas Tuchel often turning to Hudson-Odoi as a utility attacker wingback option. Many stories up in the balance, ladies and gentlemen. So many things hang in the balance, and we will cover them here on Football Therapy. We will look at the developing stories. Who will stay? Who will go? How will Chelsea change and develop? Let me know your thoughts. Please do comment all your thoughts, feelings, and emotions down in the comment section below. Thank you for hanging out and dropping a like if you're still here. Let's see if we can get over 3,000. Subscribe if you're new, only if you want to, but if you choose to do so, hit the sweet bell, baby. Guys, thank you very much for joining me. See you very soon. Keep it locked. Peace.